Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Venezuela on the edge as national election results fuel discontent and violence on the streets. Organization of American states to hold a meeting as many Latin American leaders reject the results. US President Joe Biden calls for major Supreme Court reforms to restore trust in the court, decrees Trump's immunity ruling. United States races to avert a full-blown war between Israel and the Hezbollah, leads diplomatic dash to deter Israel from striking Beirut in response to attack on Golan Heights. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address journey towards Viksit Bharat, a post-Union Budget 2024-25 conference in New Delhi today. And in sports, India hopes to increase its medal bout at Paris Olympics. Shooting stars Manu Sarabjot and Sarabjot Singh to fight for bronze medal in the 10 meters air pistol mixed team event. Thousands of protesters took to the streets of Caracas on Monday to express their discontent with Nicolas Maduro's recent victory in the presidential election in Venezuela. Men and women showed their rage by burning barricades, blocked roads and banged pots and pans in various neighborhoods, accusing Maduro of fraud. Authorities deployed riot police to douse the chaos by shooting tear gas at them. Protesters marched on the iconic Francisco de Miranda Avenue with hopes to reach the government palace, but the National Guard stopped them from reaching the palace. Organization of American States will hold a meeting as many Latin American leaders reject the results. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was officially declared the winner of the disputed presidential election on Monday. The National Electoral Council announced his victory, granting him a third six-year term. The president of the National Electoral Council handed Maduro the credentials for his re-election as president for the 2025 to 2031 term. Addressing the National Electoral Council ceremony, Maduro denounced the efforts to destabilize the country and vowed to show no weakness to those who are planning to harm Venezuela's democracy.
Today they are rehearsing the first failed steps to destabilize Venezuela and to impose again a mantle of aggression and harm on Venezuela, a sort of Guaido 2.0 movie. But I say to the plotters, to those involved, and to those who endorse this operation against Venezuelan democracy, that we already know the movie, and this time there will be no weakness.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutteres called for complete transparency in Venezuela's election and encouraged the timely publication of election results and a breakdown by polling stations. The UN chief called on political leaders and their supporters for moderation and said that all electoral disputes should be addressed and resolved peacefully.
The Secretary General commends the Venezuelan people for their determination to express their will peacefully through the ballot box. We have taken note of the announcement made by the electoral authorities, as well as concerns expressed by political actors and members of the international community. The Secretary General calls for complete transparency and encourages the timely publication of the election results and a breakdown by polling stations. The Secretary General trusts that all electoral disputes will be addressed and resolved peacefully and calls on all Venezuelan political leaders and their supporters for moderation.
US President Joe Biden is calling for changes to the Supreme Court, including term limits for justices, an ethics code, plus constitutional changes to prevent complete presidential immunity. It comes following the highest court's opinion on Donald Trump in the election interference case, which means presidents get immunity for official acts. Caroline Malone gets us more from Washington.
US President Joe Biden has proposed a constitutional amendment to stop blanket immunity for presidents and several top court changes that would give justices on the top bench term limits and an enforceable ethics code.
My fellow Americans, based on all my experience, I'm certain we need these reforms. We need these reforms to restore trust in the courts, preserve the system of checks and balances, that are vital to our democracy. There are also common sense reforms that a vast majority of the American people support, as well as leading constitutional law scholars, progressives, and conservatives. I look forward to working with the Congress to implement these necessary reforms.
Biden spoke about the suggested reforms while in Austin, Texas on Monday, marking the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act, with an address at the Lyndon Baines Johnson Presidential Library at the University of Texas. His proposed changes come after the Supreme Court ruled in former President Donald Trump's case that he would be immune from prosecution for, quote, official acts. That will push the decision back to lower courts and delay the start of a Trump federal criminal trial even further. And after a number of bribery and political imagery scandals also involving top court justices. Well, Republicans have spoken out against the suggested changes. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said it was a proposal by Biden to, quote, delegitimize the court. And he said the changes would not be considered by his chamber, which he and his party control. Well, this dangerous gambit of the Biden-Harris administration, he said, is dead on arrival in the House. Well, the Republican National Committee has also said it's a scheme to pack the Supreme Court with far-left radical judges. But any proposed changes to the Supreme Court would have to be approved by members of Congress, and any constitutional changes would need to go through individual states. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
As announcement of Kamala Harris being formally nominated as Democratic presidential candidate for November 5th election is coming close, she is facing a new challenge. Now, the challenge is of getting a running mate for her who will be Vice President of America if Harris wins the presidential polls. Till now, she has not got any. Two of the probable choices, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, have told her that they will not be her running mates. Both want to remain as governors of their respective states. Others who are now being considered as potential picks include Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, U.S. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Running mate for Harris is important as she has to face the challenge of outspoken contender Donald Trump, who does not hesitate to question Harris's origin and ideology, and a running mate might balance the tilt of voters. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has agreed to be interviewed by the FBI as part of its investigation into the assassination attempt at his rally in Pennsylvania earlier this month. Despite poring over mountains of evidence, investigators are yet to determine a motive to explain why a 20-year-old shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, opened fire on July 13th. Meanwhile, the investigating team have revealed the 20-year-old was spotted by a local SWAT team more than 90 minutes before the shooting, much earlier than previously thought. Multiple investigations have been launched into what went wrong in securing Butler Fair show grounds on 13 July. Secret Service Director Kimberly Seattle resigned after admitting failures. In an effort to disrupt Kamala Harris's campaign momentum, as the Democratic Party has coalesced around her following President Biden's abrupt decision to leave the race, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign will launch a $10 million advertising blitz in 6 battleground states this week as it tries to counter a surge of voter enthusiasm and donations for his Democratic rival Kamala Harris. This is Trump's biggest ad buy since January, when he was fighting for Republican rivals of the party's nomination. Future Forward, a Democratic super PAC, said it is launching a $50 million effort to back Harris in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and 6 states seen as pivotal to deciding the election because their voting preferences can swing either ways. On the other hand, Harris's campaign said on Sunday that it raised $200 million in new campaign funds last week. The United States is leading a diplomatic dash to deter Israel from striking Lebanon's capital Beirut in response to a deadly rocket attack on the Golan Heights. Washington is racing to avert a full-blown war between Israel and Hezbollah after the attack on the Israeli-occupied Golan killed 12 youth at the weekend. Israel and the U.S. have blamed Hezbollah for the rocket strike, though the group has denied responsibility. Lebanon's Deputy Parliament Speaker, Elias Bou Saab, has been in contact with a U.S. mediator since Saturday's Golan attack. Israel wants to hurt Hezbollah but not drag the region into all-out war. So far, Israel has not made any commitment to avoiding strikes on Beirut, its suburbs or civil infrastructure. White House has defended Israel's right to respond to the Golden Strike but asserted that nobody wanted a broader war. UK authorities say that 2 children were killed and 9 were injured by a knife man in an attack in northwest England. 6 of the children remain in critical condition, as well as 2 adults. Merseyside police says it believes the injured adults were bravely trying to protect the children being attacked. Stuart Smith gets us more from London.
The children were attending a Taylor Swift-themed yoga dance workshop for kids aged 6 to 10 when a teenager entered the building and stabbed them. The regional police force says it's still making inquiries to attempt to find a motive for what it's calling a tragic incident, but it's not being treated as terror-related.
I'm here to advise that 2 children have died as a result of the injuries sustained in this morning's knife attack. 9 other children have been injured, and 6 of them are in a critical condition. All those injured have suffered stab wounds sustained during the attack, and 2 adults are also in a critical condition after being injured during the incident.
The 17-year-old, who was arrested at the scene by armed police, was found with a knife which he had used to stab children and 2 adults as well. He was living near the seaside town of Southport, near the English city of Liverpool in England's northwest. Arch rivals Liverpool and Everton football clubs posted a joint statement on social media, sending their support to those affected by the mass stabbing. After the calls for help came in, 13 ambulances and helicopters were dispatched, taking the injured to 3 hospitals, including a specialised children's hospital. A former Merseyside police inspector told a British broadcaster there are still a lot of unanswered questions and that gathering evidence may take some time. Stuart Smith in London, reporting for DD India.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. At least 140 people were injured in southern Russia when a train carrying 800 passengers smashed into a truck on a level crossing, causing 8 carriages to derail. The train hit the truck at a speed of 65 kilometers per hour near Kotelnikovo station, which lies in the southern Volgograd region in south of Moscow. Russia's emergency ministry confirmed that a total of 9 carriages had been derailed. No casualties were reported. Bolivian cities grapple with severe diesel shortage, with public transportation operating at around 50% capacity in Santa Cruz. The sudden outage caused chaos among the drivers at the port of Arica in Chile. 3 ships, 2 carrying 260,000 barrels of Russian oil and 1 with 100 barrels of gasoline from the US, were waiting for favorable weather conditions to unload. A massive dragonfly swarm descended near Mesquamicut Beach in westerly Rhode Island, creating a scene of unexpected chaos. Beachgoers and locals were caught off guard as thousands of dragonflies flew in the air, darting in every direction. The swarm, while generally harmless, led to a flurry of reactions from the public. The dense presence of dragonflies disrupted normal activities as people struggled to navigate through the swarm or sought to take covers indoors. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, India's President Draupadi Murmu to undertake a 3-state visit to Fiji, New Zealand and TimorLeste from 5th to 10th of August. McDonald's global sales fall by 1% for the first time in nearly 4 years in the second quarter as consumers choose other food options. Nigeria fines Meta $220 million for violating consumer and data laws. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. In other updates, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the inaugural session of a post-union budget conference here in Delhi on Tuesday. The conference, titled Journey Towards Viksit Bharat, a post-union budget 2024-25 conference, is being organized by the CII. The conference is aimed at presenting the outline for government's larger vision for growth and industry's role in this endeavour. More than 1,000 participants from the industry, government, diplomatic community, think tanks, among others, will attend the conference in person, while many would connect from the various CII centres across the country and overseas. India's President Draupadi Murmu will undertake state visit to Fiji, New Zealand and Timor-Leste from 5th to 10th of August. President Murmu will be visiting Fiji on 5th and 6th of August at the invitation of her Fijian counterpart. This will be her first ever visit by a head of state from India to Fiji. On the second leg of her visit, President Draupadi Murmu will visit New Zealand on from 7th to 9th of August. During her visit, she will hold several bilateral discussions. The visit will provide further impetus to India-New Zealand bilateral relations. President Murmu then will visit the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste on 10th of August. Quad Foreign Ministers meeting took place in Tokyo on Monday, where leaders of the four nations discussed and deliberated upon the key global challenges concerning the world, where specific focus remained on the Indo-Pacific region. The leaders expressed serious concerns about the militarization of disputed features and coercive and intimidating maneuvers in the South China Sea. They also announced measures ranging from improving domain awareness of Pacific Island nations to their cybersecurity and communications. Take a look.
Foreign ministers of India, Australia and Japan and the Secretary of State of the United States of America gathered in Tokyo, Japan for the Foreign Ministers' Meet of Quad nations. The leaders reaffirmed their commitment, common principles and capacities to preserve and strengthen the international order for the global good. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar highlighted the major global challenges and the need for the Quad to promote a rule-based international order and its ability to ensure that the Indo-Pacific remains free.
Major challenge is to ensure global economic growth while also de-risking it. Supply chains are a particular focus for resilience, just as we push for trusted and transparent digital partnerships. In a sense, we are in the midst of a re-globalization. At the same time, it is only our collective endeavors that can proof the international system against disruptions, man-made or natural. Our meeting should send a clear message that the Quad is here to stay, here to do, and here to grow.
Amid the rising instances of transgressions and intimidation in South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific region, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken stressed upon the need to bolster maritime security and domain awareness to ensure a prosperous and stable Indo-Pacific region.
We are charting a course for a more secure and open Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean region by bolstering maritime security and domain awareness. In practical terms, what does this mean? It means strengthening the capacity of partners across the region to know what's happening in their own waters.
Meanwhile, the Australian Foreign Minister raised the alarm over long-standing international rules being broken and twisted, calling Quad a central leadership for the stability of the region.
We seek to enable choices in a practical sense by bringing together the advantages, the comparative advantages that these nations before you offer, and offering that practical assistance to meet the region's needs.
After the meeting, the foreign ministers also called on the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, where the ministers briefed him of the key takeaways of their meeting. The Quad Foreign Ministers Meet has laid out an agenda for the upcoming Quad Leaders Summit planned to take place in India this year, where the leaders of the four nations will take on the key challenges and opportunities arising in the rapidly changing geopolitical landscape of the Indo-Pacific region. Akshay Dongre, DD India.
In a gesture of international solidarity and support, India dispatched a significant humanitarian aid package to Haiti, a total of 9 tons of medical supplies. It is a vital contribution aimed at addressing the urgent healthcare needs in the Caribbean nation. The aid is being transported to Port-au-Prince, Haiti's capital, where it will be distributed to assist in the country's ongoing health crisis. McDonald's global sales fell for the first time in nearly 4 years in the second quarter as inflation-weary consumers skipped eating out or chose cheaper options. The company said it's working on fixes like meal deals and new menu items, but it expects same-store sales to be down for the next few quarters. Outlets open for at least a year saw sales fall 1% over the April-June period as compared with the year earlier, the fourth such decline that was witnessed since the pandemic. The drop came despite the hamburger chain offering money off deals to try to win back cost-conscious customers. McDonald's has been facing a backlash from customers after raising prices significantly during the pandemic. The Nigerian government has slapped a $220 million fine on social media giant Meta for data appropriation. Now, that's when companies use the data of individuals for financial gain without their consent or compensation. The company, which owns Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram, violated the data of Nigerian users, according to the government. Tesemakande gets us more.
A Nigerian government probe into Meta's activities spanned 2 years, after which it established that the company had violated the data of users for years. Many Nigerians are unhappy at the revelations, saying data breaches have consequences.
With data, you can literally cripple a nation. With data, you can build a nation. With data, you can do almost anything with data. I mean, look at the US elections. That was like a few years ago, how it was really polarized because of how Facebook or Facebook back then handled data around the election and so many other things, and also Twitter and the rest of all the social media platforms. So yes, it is something that we need to take seriously.
Most of this information are actually linked. You have phone numbers linked to BVN, phone number linked to NIN. You receive calls from strangers telling you to provide certain OTP, certain numbers, and before you know, you are losing money from your personal account, your bank account.
According to online data platform Data Repertoire, there are 37 million social media users in Nigeria. All of them have Facebook accounts. 12.4 million of them have Instagram accounts, while 10.6 million of them have WhatsApp accounts. The Nigerian government says Meta appropriated the data of users without their consent between May 2021 and December 2023 in contravention of the country's data protection law. Nigeria's Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says the fine against the company is in accordance with the legal framework for the protection of personal information of people in the country. Communication experts say compromising the data of users has implications. They want the government to continuously keep an eye on the platforms to ensure the privacy breaches do not occur again.
Going forward as well, the government should continue to ensure that the data of Nigerians is being protected. We are very exposed and we cannot even determine to what level we are exposed. So yes, we believe that the government should continue and would continue to ensure that we are protected.
Meta has argued that it explained their operations to users all over the world back in 2021 and therefore disagrees with the Nigerian government on the fine. It says it to be appealing against it. The Nigerian government, though, insists it will continue to protect its citizens online. Tassim Akende in Jos reporting for DD India.
All right, now we turn focus to all the updates from the Paris Olympics. India will hope to increase its medal tally at Paris Olympics on Tuesday. Shooting stars Manu Sarabjot and Sarabjot Singh will fight for bronze medal in the 10 meters air pistol mixed team event. Hockey and badminton stars will also be in action on day 4 at Paris. DD India's Narayan Singh gets us more.
On the 2024 Paris Olympics, Indian athletes are set to showcase their prowess across various events. Manu Sarabjot, who won India's first medal at these games in the women's 10-meter air pistol event, aims to secure her second by competing in the 10-meter air pistol team event with Sarabjot Singh. The Indian men's hockey team, coming off a hard-fought draw against Argentina, will face Ireland team in their next match. And talking about archery, Dheeraj is slated for the men's individual event, while Bhajan Kaur, Ankita may encounter each other in the women's individual elimination round. And again, coming to shooting, where shooter Prithviraj Todeman will look to improve in men's trap shooting qualification as Rajeshwari Kumari and Sriyashi Singh commenced their campaigns in the women track shooting qualification. Talking about boxing, we will see 3 Indian contenders: Amit Pangal in men's 51 kg category, Jasmine in 57 and Preeti Pawar in her women's 54 kg bout. Meanwhile, the men's doubles, the badminton duo of Satwik and Chirag will vie for the top spot in the group against Indonesia. In rowing, Balraj Panwar is in men's singles, that is sculls event, while Anush Agarwala competes in the equestrian individual dressage qualification event. With a packed schedule, Indian athletes are geared up for an exciting and potentially medal-winning day here in Paris.
Meanwhile, star Indian paddler Monika Batra created history on Monday night as she became the first ever Indian table tennis player to qualify for the last 16 at Olympics. Monika recorded a commanding 11-9, 11-16, 11-9, 11-7 victory against her French opponent Pritika Pawade in Paris. 18-seed Monika Batra showed complete dominance throughout the game without dropping a single set. Batra will next face either Hong Kong China's Zhu Chengzhu or 8th-seeded Japanese player Miu Hirano. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Gaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.